All right, guys, if you are smart enough to go on the Canvas page and watch the video, here are a few more of those word problems. These will really help you set up the ones for tonight. Now remember, these ones we're going to set up and solve, so make sure that you have a solution set for these. So Harold is shopping for a new car. In addition to the price of the car, there's a 5% sales tax. Now, right there should be a hint to you right away. You have a percent of increase. So we're going to add that 5% of that sales tax and $144 title and license fee. If Harold decides that he will spend less than $9,970 total, then what's the price range for the car? Because we're working with an inequality, we know we're going to have an inequality there. But the first thing we need to talk about is, what equation do we use? Is this a straight up percent? Is shopping in addition to the price of the car? No, there's an increase starting with the price of the car. So we're going to use the X. Now, we're adding sales tax. So this is going to be RX. And the equation we know is equaling the sale price. And so let's just look at that one for a moment. And we'll set this one up and then we'll decide on our inequality. So let's let X equal the original price of the car. Make sure you define a variable. Okay, now we don't know what that is, so that X is going to stay. Now we know that the rate is going to be 5%, so we have X plus 5% of X. And then they threw in a little more money that we're going to have to pay, that $144 title and license fee. So we're going to have to add that, 144, and we want that he's going to spend less than $9,970. So he doesn't want to even spend that. He wants to spend less than. So that means that this whole total is going to have to be less than $9,970. If he said he will spend at most, then that would require that equal sign down below, but he didn't say that. So now we just have to go through and solve this. And you solve these the exact same way you would solve an equation. So I'm going to combine my like terms, giving me 1 5/100 X plus 144. I want that to be less than 9,970. Okay, subtract 144 from each side. I get that 1 5/100 X needs to be less than 9,826. Divide both sides by 1 5/100. I get that X is less than, and then it comes out to a crazy, crazy decimal, 9,358.09528. Well, we're going to round that to the nearest cents. So that means that X has to be less than, that means the price of the car before he pays all of the tax and title has to be less than $9,358.10. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, these numbers mean that I've taken these right out of your book, so this will help you. I usually use some of the odd problems for this. So Tilak made 44 and 72 on his first 2 tests in algebra and has 1 test remaining. And we did one exactly like this in 2.8. For him to pass the course, the average on all 3 tests must be at least 60. So for what range of scores will he pass the course? So let's let X equal the x equal his third score. We're going to use the idea of averaging for this. So we have 44 plus 72. I think this is exactly the problem that was in the other chapter. Plus s, and we need to divide that by 3 because there are 1, 2, 3 tests. And we know we want this to be at least. So it could be 60. Now, that's not very high aspirations, but we want this to be greater than or equal to 60. So now we're going to solve this by combining our like terms first. So 44 plus 72 gives me 116 plus s divided by 3. And remember, this top is together. You can't take it apart. So we're going to multiply by 3 first to get rid of the denominator. And I get that 116 plus s is greater than or equal to 180. Subtract 116 from both sides. That means he has to get at least a 64 on this next test in order to get past the class. Wow. I think I would prefer if this score right here, you guys were aiming more for a 90, but that's not what the problem said. All right. Mrs. Vogenthaler only gives a midterm exam and a final exam. Could you imagine? No other tests. By computing, by taking 1/3 of the midterm score plus 2/3 of the final exam score, to get a C, Stacy must have a semester average between 70 and 79, and she can include 70 and 79. This word inclusive means she doesn't mind if she gets a 70 or 79. If Stacy scored a minimum of 48 on the midterm, then what range of scores on the final exam will get her a C? Well, the semester average is 1/3, so let's let x equal the total average. Okay, so 1/3 of the semester midterm exam plus 2/3 of the final exam. So she scored a 48 on the midterm. Means we're going to take 48 and 1/3 of that. So just times 1/3. And we're asking, what does she get on the final exam? So maybe this needs to be x equals the final exam. Well, I'm going to add the midterm and the final exam score. But the final exam score is worth 2/3 of your grade. And I want that to be between 70 and 79, and it can include those. So we want this score to be greater than 70 or equal to, and we want this score can be less than or equal to 79, because her goal is only to get between a 70 and a 79. And then we just go through and do the math. 70 is greater than or equal to 16 plus 2/3 x, which is less than or equal to 79. So now we can do this one of two ways, and both ways will work out great. You can separate these into two separate equations. We can go ahead and do it that way. I kind of like separating them. Just depends on my mood. This way I'm going to separate them. So I have 70 is less than or equal to 16 plus 2/3 x, or 16 plus 2/3 x is less than or equal to 79. Okay, subtract 16, subtract 16, get that 54 is less than or equal to 2/3 x. Multiply by the reciprocal, 3/2. 3/2, reduce, gives me 27, times 3 is 81. Whoa, that means her minimum score here is going to be an 81, and we'll see what the maximum is going to be on this other side. Minus 16, and I get that 2/3 x greater than or equal to So 79 minus 16 gives me 63. Multiply by 3/2. Multiply by 3/2. This one's not going to reduce. So let's see, we have x is less than or equal to 63 times 3, which is 189 over 2. And this doesn't make sense. I'm not going to write this as your final grade. So turn that into a mixed number. And you could keep the maximum score to keep her in a C is 94.5. So we rewrite our equation. 81 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 94 and 5/10. And if she got anything higher than 94 and 5/10, that would bump her up into the B range. So I want you guys to remember these kind of equations for when you're trying to figure out your grades. All right, so that will help you a lot for the homework tonight if you choose to take the time to watch the video. I congratulate you if you did. If you take notes on this and you show it to me tomorrow, I am going to add 1 point to your test grade. So make sure you come and show them to me.